King Spawn is here. Gunslinger Spawn is here. But you're not reading them. Why? Hey, what's up, Nerd fam? It's your boy Krishan. I want to welcome you to Enter the Nerd. Today, I want to talk to you about one of my favorite comic book characters and someone who's having a really good run right now. Well, has been for over 20 years. Spawn, with the brand new, well, it's been about a couple months now, King Spawn. It's on King Spawn number 3 right now. And then a new character, Gunslinger Spawn, another Hellspawn that's come out. And there's also some new books that will come out later on, like Scorched, and most likely She-Spawn will probably get her own stuff and all that. But Scorched is going to have She-Spawn, Medieval Spawn, Gunslinger, and Al Simmons, and actually more, and Redeemer. I'm forgetting about him as well. And these are all characters, obviously straight from Image, created by Todd McFarlane. Now, obviously, why I'm thinking this is super important for you to know is because King Spawn, which came out a couple months ago, broke all types of records, right? Literally records that the big three have not reached in a very long time, like over several 100,000 pre-orders and buys, and they're still going strong with every single issue that's coming out. And that's big because this is an original Black character. A lot of people have been obviously clamoring for all like these swap versions of characters, but here we have an original character standing before our eyes who's like obviously a skilled operative, has deep emotional history with even how he was killed by his best friend Chapel, which I think obviously they changed later on because I think Chapel wasn't available for McFarlane anymore, so they changed it to Priest killing him. And then obviously the whole history with his best friend marrying his wife after he died. There's so many like cool emotional things that are happening, and him literally battling between the forces of heaven and hell. It's a cool story, and all the different Hellspawns that come out, which tie into like Wishblade and stuff like that, are awesome. So why aren't people clamoring for this? Well, number one, obviously, Image doesn't get the same type of publicity as like DC and Marvel and stuff. They just don't, right? So that's a clear reason. So people just might not know, right? If you're in the comic reading space, you do know, especially if you dig like not just the big two, but you also read the indies where a lot of, I'll say the more creative and risk-taking things happen, but it's still actually very rewarding for someone who loves to read comics. Now, the second thing that I've noticed, now obviously like my boy Taylor, he's loved Spawn. He's loved him since he was young, and he's always used to tell me about him, especially because of his art style, because Todd McFarlane is awesome. Obviously, he's the guy who made up Venom. So you can kind of see like the inspiration and stuff like that there. Yeah, but I'm talking about Venom, I mean like, you know, the Spider-Man villain, in case you were confused about that. But like my boy Taylor loves him, and he's always trying to figure out like how come people don't really dig him. Like, you know, he doesn't hear about him the same as a lot of the other people, even though, you know, with obviously in the space when you talk to people like me and him or anybody else talks to, they, oh, I love Spawn. Usually they see from the movies and some of the animated series that HBO had back in the day. But there is something sinister that lurks around this character, which really sucks because it comes from the same people who talk about, you know, representation and Black characters. And, you know, I've seen it in a couple of like these groups, like some of these like blurred groups that talk about it. And they're like, well, you know, he's a person who, you know, because his face is burned. They don't like the fact that they can't see that he's Black. Even though there's plenty of times in the comics, especially now, where he goes back and forth between his human form. So people who are not reading the comics don't know that. Like, he literally goes into his human form where he doesn't have a charred face. So that's wrong, right? So just do that. 2, they don't like the fact that this is a hero who does not constantly deal with things that are something that's specialized towards their ethnicity. So Spawn is not constantly fighting racial injustice. I've actually heard this in some things, and they say that's the reason why they stopped buying, why they're not really interested in it, because if it's a Black hero, that should be in their story. But it's like, he was a CIA operative, he was betrayed, had another cool character in Chapel who was part of like Youngblood and stuff like that, kill him, and now he's fighting against the forces of heaven and hell. One would think there might be something a bit bigger than that for him, seeing as how you're also talking about going between time and even multiversal stuff. One would think that he might be looking at the grand scheme of things of the entire universe, you know, human existence, right? But for some reason, when it comes to Spawn, oh, I almost forgot this. Something I saw, like, they didn't like the fact that, a black man was a Hellspawn. Like, he couldn't have anything. Why do you have to do with hell? Is that they like seeing us as demons? And I'm like, holy crap. Like, these same people ask for diverse characters. A black guy doesn't only have to be a criminal, which is true, right? So you have some that are criminals, scientists, ex-military, astrophysicists, and now you have a Hellspawn. But before that, he was an assassin, which is what makes him particularly dangerous, especially with all these powers, which is why he's considered like up there when it comes to the Hellspawn, because of how he can utilize his abilities too. But, forget all those facts about him, right? He's not battling the Klan. So don't talk about him. And this is crazy, because this is somebody who should be celebrated, this character, especially because they have the longest run for a black character as well, over 300 issues spanning over 20 years. But because Spawn doesn't appeal to perhaps your sensibilities for the perfect black character, which I don't know if that exists, right? That doesn't exist, right? Nothing perfect, because what'll be perfect for you won't be perfect for someone else. You can't celebrate him. And this is crazy to me, because he's original. Then somebody told me, he's not made by a black guy. It's like, half the heroes that you like, in terms whether they're black or not, were not created by that. Like, your beloved Black Panther was not created by that, right? People love Miles Morales. That was not created by a black guy. Like Storm, they were not, okay? It doesn't matter, because they're still awesome characters. But people will always find a way, and it sucks because this character is awesome. And they have awesome books coming out. And the story is very straightforward and very easy to get into. So right now, like I said, King Spawn is on 1, 2, and 3. Ty McFarlane, Greg Capullo, they're all doing a great job on this right now. And Gunslinger Spawn, while not being black, is still a great thing. Because right now they have like, you gotta pick up Spawn Universe too, because pretty much what Ty McFarlane is doing is making like a Spawn shared universe with all his characters, which is great. And the Scorch thing I was telling you about was like the team up between all of them. So this is really cool. And it all, no pun intended, it all spawns from this original black character in Al Simmons, aka Spawn. So put some money towards it. You want to see it do well? Put some money towards it. Support it. Talk about it in those groups and use them as an example as a diverse character that could be brutal, that could be emotionally deep, and intelligent. He has all the qualities that you want. Why not celebrate him? Into the Nerd.